Hey everyone, so my topic today is neonatal jaundice. Like I said in my intro video, I'm really interested in pregnancy and human growth and development and babies and all the diseases or complications they have. So naturally, when I got to choose a disease, I chose neonatal jaundice. So this is something that is very common um, in preterm babies, so babies that were born before 38 weeks. It's something that they are more likely to develop, and most of the time it can be treated with just monitoring hydration levels, so making sure babies are being fed 10 to 12 times a day with breast milk or formula. Sometimes there might be another level of intervention needed called phototherapy, and that's shining a blue light through their skin, and that will help break down the excess bilirubin, because that's essentially what jaundice is the buildup of bilirubin in the body, and this can lead to yellowed skin, yellowed palms, soles of the feet, yellowed eyes, and normally jaundice is easily treatable. Sometimes can get a little more complicated and lead to kernicterus, which can cause neurological damage, and in some cases even cerebral palsy or hearing loss. So obviously that's something that we want to avoid new babies developing. So jaundice is typically very closely monitored the first few weeks after birth, and that's just to prevent those really horrible consequences that could happen from kernicterus. So now I'll kind of go into a little bit more detail about the different kinds of jaundice, because they do vary. There are the more common kinds, which are pathological jaundice, which is just a deviation of the normal range of bilirubin in the body, and physiological, which is really the most common type, and unconjugated bilirubin is the predominant form. There's also nuclear jaundice, which is a little bit more extreme, and that's when really large amounts of bilirubin accumulate in the blood, and it can cause cerebral lesions. And then hemolytic jaundice, which is a common occurrence when the baby might not have the same blood type as the mom. Maybe they have ABO incompatibility, or RH factor might play a role in that. Maybe the mom is RH positive, the baby's RH negative, or vice versa. And then there's also this thing with glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, and yeah, so those are a couple of different parts of hemolytic jaundice. And then there are two types related to breast milk. So there's breastfeeding jaundice, and that's when there are like issues with breastfeeding. So maybe the baby's not latching or feeding well, or milk is slow to come, so they're not getting enough hydration. And breast milk jaundice, which is when there are certain substances in the breast milk that can affect the breakdown of bilirubin. And this breakdown is essential. Bilirubin needs to be filtered through the urinary system and expelled through urine or feces. Otherwise, it will build up and it will cause that yellowing of the skin. Those other unpleasant conditions can lead to kernicterus. So definitely, jaundice is definitely something that physicians do monitor. When babies are first born, there are a couple check-ins after like 72 hours, 96 hours. The baby is just kept under monitoring just to make sure that they are staying healthy. So, like I said, phototherapy was one of the forms of treatment. Sometimes in more extreme cases, chemotherapy might be used, or certain kinds of blood transfusions, but for the most part, jaundice can be treated through that hydration and just making sure baby's getting enough breast milk or formula throughout the day, like I said earlier. Okay, now kind of tying it into biochemistry. So I did include kind of a diagram of what bilirubin looks like on my notes page, and it's the water insoluble bilirubin that's unconjugated that's known with its toxic effects. So when you think about that, if the bilirubin is not able to be broken down by the body, if you can't filter it out, then naturally it's going to build up in your system, and that's going to lead to jaundice and all those unpleasant complications and symptoms. And then the article also mentioned, one of the biochemical articles I found about jaundice mentioned how biochemistry is used a lot in terms of testing for jaundice and evaluating these bilirubin levels. So there definitely is an intersection between biology and chemistry in studying jaundice, its treatments, and how it affects the body when it is occurring in a new baby. So luckily, jaundice most of the time is not fatal. It's something that can be treated. All that's necessary for the most part is just monitoring the baby those first few hours, weeks after birth, and parents being vigilant, making sure that they are paying close attention to their baby, and if they're seeing those signs like the yellowed skin, yellowed eyes, that kind of thing, then they are contacting their health professional and working with them to treat their baby. So sorry for the rambling. I just really had a lot of fun researching this, and I hope you guys got to learn a little bit about it. So thank you.